Today, I'm going to share with you a few truths about dream warfare, about spiritual warfare that takes place in the dreamscape that you may not hear from anywhere else. And so, the truths that I'm going to be sharing is going to be related to the warfare of eating in dreams, the warfare of sex and sexual violations in dreams. And so, this information that I'm sharing today is top tier, esoteric, exclusive information. So please be sure, if you are not subscribed, subscribe. And if you are subscribed, make sure that that notification bell is on, because there will be many more messages like this that you will not want to miss. And so, one of the first and most important things to note about eating in dreams is that this is a mission of spiritual defilement. And so, if you are eating particular things in dreams, especially if it is things like meats, salty foods, sweets, your cookies, your cakes, your candies, your donuts. And so, what you are dealing with when you are dreaming of eating these types of foods is the spirit of diabetes. There is a spirit behind every major ailment, whether it is spiritual or physical, especially if that ailment is related to the blood. Diabetes is an issue with blood sugar. And so, if you are experiencing dreams that are encouraging you, programming you, conditioning you to eat foods that directly impact the blood sugar in a negative way, you are dealing with the spirit of diabetes. But let's talk about why you are dealing with this spirit of diabetes. The spirit of diabetes comes to wreak havoc and wage war on the spiritual gifts of bloodlines. So if you are someone who's like, man, diabetes runs in my family, do you want to know what else runs in your family? Spiritual gifts. Because the spirit of diabetes comes to rob, to feed on, to destroy, to inhibit the spiritual gifts of entire lineages. This is why diabetes and the eating habits and patterns related to diabetes is a generational struggle. We have to understand that spiritual gifts is passed directly down the bloodline. So if there are priests, there are priestesses, there are healers, there are shamans, there are sangomas, there are ianifas, there are babalaos, if there are mambos, there are ugans in your bloodline, this means that those gifts of dreaming, those gifts of healing, those gifts of alchemy, those gifts of herbalism, all of that runs in your blood. And so you wonder why people of your lineage deal with a spirit that attacks the blood. The same thing goes for sickle cell anemia, but that's a whole other conversation, okay? And what people who are experiencing dream warfare needs to understand is that your magic, your power is most likely in the dream state. This is why you are being attacked there. Dreams are an ancestral, angelic, esoteric, divine technology of wisdom and information. And so if your dreams are under attack, your direct connection to your wisdom, your ancestral wisdom, your spiritual wisdom is under attack as well. And so let's go ahead right out the gate, begin with the affirmations for today. And we are saying this affirmation today so that we can start to actually use this dreaming technology that the divine has gifted us for the purpose which it was intended to be used, which was for communication with higher forces. So the affirmation is, I awaken myself to receive divine wisdom in my dreams. Ashe, ashe, ashe. And so what you need to understand when it comes to eating dreams is that if you eat the things that you are having in dreams in real life, then you are coming into covenant continuously with that spirit, with the spirit that is behind the dream. So if you have a dream of you eating, that spirit is conditioning you. That spirit is programming you to want, desire, and eat those things. And if you are eating those things in an unmoderated way, in an imbalanced way, in a way that is not mindful, then you are being fully puppeteered by that spirit of illness. Because when it comes to diabetes, it is a spirit of illness of the blood, of the organs of the entire bodily system. And so if I'm working with a client and their ancestors warn me of something dealing in the dream state, I will ask them, have you been having dreams of eating or dreams of sex? Because these two things are interconnected on a spiritual scale. Let's talk about why. Dreams of sex and dreams of eating are also dreams of spiritual infiltration, because what happens when we eat and what happens when we have sexual intercourse? We have people and spiritual energies entering directly into the body. And so when you are dreaming of sexual dreams, these are dreams of spirit infiltration. And so when you eat in a dream or you have sex in a dream, you are essentially going to wake up with a particular spiritual energy or presence in your body. And the key is to be spiritually aware and mindful enough to feel out, where is that energy taking root and how is it intending to affect me? When it comes to food, you're going to be looking at the throat. Those spiritual energies will like to live in the throat, in the gut, in the womb, and or in the colon. So this is spiritual infiltration, y'all. So let's talk about now why you are dreaming of spiritual infiltration. And this comes down to a matter of the fact that your body needs a detox or a cleanse. This comes down to the fact that the body is too unclean to house a clean spirit. When we have dirty spirits infiltrating our body, this means that the body is at a low enough state for those spirits to infiltrate us. And let us also understand that there are multiple ways that the body can be unclean, right? We can have heavy, dense or unclean emotions in the heart space. We can have wounds and traumas stored in the muscles and the tissues of the body. We can have literal parasites that needs to be cleansed from the body. We could have bacteria and fungi that needs to be detoxed from the body. And so there are many reasons why we may be experiencing spiritual infiltration from unclean spirits. Getting to the root of that is our spiritual work and our spiritual task. You know, I'm always going to recommend getting deeper readings, because every spiritual situation is going to be unique and different. And so the remedy for your particular situation is going to be dependent on the root, the source of your spiritual issue. And so if that is something that you need to discover, I am here, I am happy, I am honored always to do this work of walking in my destiny, of bringing more and more humans, more and more starseeds, more and more chosen ones into divine alignment with their spiritual path, destiny, and purpose. If you are in a place where it's time to go deeper, you know that it's time to go deeper into your spiritual practice. You know that you have a spiritual mission and calling. This is what I've created the Patreon for. The lectures, the rituals, the information that is on the Patreon is unmatched. And so for my people who are ready to begin walking in their divine missions, to receive divine intervention and assistance, there will be a link for readings as well as the Patreon in the pinned comments below. Peace, bliss, power, purity to every viewer who wishes the same truly upon me. Ashe.